would you say we're all in on that kid right there, or we're all in for this year, let's see how he plays? It's a different question.
Yeah, no, we're all in on Justin. I believe in Justin. Our staff believes in Justin. And like I said from the beginning, we're gonna set this up for him to succeed. And I know I've got a lot of questions, but what about receiver? We're gonna do the best we can with the roster. We're gonna improve the roster as well, but we're also gonna get the scheme. We're gonna use the technique. And our coaches are hard at work, and so is Justin.
Ryan Poles, the GM of the Chicago Bears, they're all in on Justin Fields. They're not acting like they're all in on Justin.
Yeah,
Fields.
that's the issue. I think you're right. Right.
Bears fans get really pissy about this, but all I know is, and I know the team wasn't spectacular last year, but it feels like they are tearing down consciously. I don't know if they have a 4-year plan like Paul DePodesta devised for the Browns, but it feels like they are consciously tearing down what's there with the goal of rebuilding. Well, usually when you do that, you don't have a young franchise quarterback. Part of the rebuilding process is we get the young franchise quarterback. When you see the house being torn down around the young franchise quarterback, it seems confusing. Because at some point, they're going to play games, and at some point, they're going to struggle, and at some point, people are going to say, oh, your young franchise quarterback isn't very good. Now, maybe he's so good he rises above it. I've had that argument with some folks on radio in Chicago, not in a hostile way, just kind of a, hey, you know what, maybe Fields is so good it doesn't matter. But this is the time in his career when you should be adding pieces around him, taking advantage of the salary of the young quarterback before it goes haywire, not creating the impression you're tearing it down. What are you tearing it down for? You're in year 2 with your supposed franchise quarterback. So I feel like we're getting mixed signals from the Bears.
Yeah, I understand that. I get that. And, again, it's mixed signals. And even for them, I think it's risky a little. I do. Because I do think that, the success of Justin Fields and how he looks on the team is going to dictate a little bit how Eberflus and Ryan Poles are looked at there in Chicago. That's where I would just say it's a little dicey for them. But they're trying to build a team, and they got a lot of things they got to fix. So I think that's the issue they've kind of fallen into here is the crazy wide receiver market. And then, not only we're rebuilding, but we have a coach that has a totally different play style and philosophy than the coaches we had here prior. And they're trying to fit, that new scheme with the players that are appropriate for the new scheme. And there is a difference there. And within that, because there's so many changes and drastic needs everywhere across the roster, especially when they're changing their style of play and the kind of guys they're looking for, that it does seem like, weapons around Justin Fields are limited. And he showed he played good last year. He played very good. He played better than I expected. Not, me, I was one of those that was a little bit of a detractor. I loved it. I love the guy. I do. But I'm not ready to sit here and tell you, oh, he's so good that he doesn't need these guys. That first off is rare, all right? I think that's a dicey proposition. And like we've talked about, the great quarterbacks of all time still had people there to help them out. Patrick Mahomes was not struggling with talent around him early on in his career. So I think that's part of this as well, and that's where I don't quite understand that, because I think it's a little dicey for their own lives and what they're doing, putting their own pressure on Poles and Eberflus by not giving him a lot of talent around him or explosive receivers.
And look, here's the bottom line. You have new management in Chicago. This is why I was so stunned by the move last year by
I know. It's why we
GM
talked
Ryan
about it.
Pace and
Right.
former coach Matt Nagy to give up this year's first-round pick to move from 20 to 12 to get Justin Fields. And I remember thinking, hey, this is good news. If they let them do this, if ownership let them do this,
they must have another year.
Maybe it's a sign that they have more than 1 year. Well, dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, and it's the height of dysfunction to let your coach and GM sacrifice next year's first-round pick to go get a quarterback and then fire those guys after 1 year and hope, fingers crossed, that the new regime is going to embrace the guy. Because no matter what, Justin Fields is a vestige of the old regime. So You got new guys there trying to prove themselves, and you got the quarterback that the guys who weren't good enough to keep the job thought were good. Well, we kind of think those guys weren't very good. They got fired, but we like their quarterback. So they must have done something right. I mean, there are some complex human ego and emotions that get tied up in this. And this is why I'm always suspicious that a new regime is going to look to undermine the quarterback they inherit and go get their own guy. We're capable of finding our own guy. And we don't know whether or not Matt Eberflus was a Justin Fields guy. We don't know if Ryan Poles was a Justin Fields guy. We don't know how closely they scouted them or looked at Fields or what they thought of Fields. But I guarantee you this, when they're under consideration to be hired by the Chicago Bears, they're not going to walk through the door and say, this quarterback you drafted last year is not my kind of guy. They're not going to say it. They're not going to lead with that, or they ain't going to get the job.
Definitely not.
So,
no.
That's what fascinates me about this, and all I can do is make assessments based on what's happening. And what's happening is they're tearing it down around him.
Yeah,
that doesn't scream out to me that they believe this is a guy to build around.
Yeah, I know. I guess I won't go that far. Maybe this is the process they're going on. You're right, but all the things you said are true. Maybe they're just looking at it like, hey, we got to tear it down. We got the quarterback, and yeah, we might have to take a step back to take 2 steps forwards. Maybe that's what they're doing, just to totally change the culture, new guys in the building, get away from the Nagy era. I think bottom line, though.
Except for the quarterback, that's what's weird.
Well, that's what's
weird. We have to change things.
You're right.
We have to tear it down except for the quarterback.
Well,
we have to look for new ways of doing things except for the quarterback. That's where I can't reconcile.
Because I think what we're getting back to here and where I was going, I think we're at the same place is – why the F did ownership let the last staff draft Justin Fields in that type of situation? If you knew it was a make or break year, why would you let that go down? And I know during that period leading up to that draft, you and I, we had a ton of conversations. A lot of people in football did. But I don't think the Bears will really take Justin Fields even at 20. Because this is their last year. Their butts are on the hot seat. Same thing we're talking about with Matt Rule right now. Why they didn't draft a quarterback in Carolina. It's the same thing. And I got a lot of flack because if you remember, I put Justin Fields as like pick 30 or 31 in my mock draft. And I just kept going, well, because the Bears were the team I looked at and went, I don't think ownership's that would do that and let them do that. That doesn't make sense to me. So that is the issue at hand. And most of football believes that Nagy and the last crew did that because they thought it was going to be a political play to save them one more year, even if they got on the hot seat. It was like that to me was an organization not being on the same page, and that's really what it goes back to.
Look, I don't know what Ted Phillips' current responsibilities are, but that's the name. That guy has survived, and ownership loves him, and they trust him. But look, at some point, somebody's got to be responsible for this. Somebody's got to answer to George and Virginia McCaskey and say, at what point, and look, this, I don't know, do they ever have the tough conversation? Did George McCaskey ever get Ted Phillips on the phone and say, why in the hell did you let these guys do this? Why did we do this? Can you run this by me again, why we did this? Let's go back. Well, we can't really focus on the past. The past is prologue. No, I want to focus on the past. Why did we do this? When we weren't sold on Pace and Nagy, we let them trade up and give up our first-round pick this year, which would have been a pretty good pick, would have been a top 10 pick. And they give it up to get a quarterback that didn't play well enough to save their jobs. And new management, like I said, isn't going to be, it's just not going to be as warm and fuzzy. So
get your damn crystal ball. So what's a successful season? You lost the damn sight of what the hell the segment is. Crystal ball.
I know, but it was a useful conversation. Crystal ball's out. Crystal ball's out. Justin Fields this year, what is a successful season? I'd say it's at least be in the playoff conversation. The NFC is wide open. Wide open. Once you get past the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Packers, you got 4 playoff spots up for grabs. And I'd like to think the Bears have enough that they can be in the conversation. And a successful season for Justin Fields is at Christmas time, the Bears are still alive. That's a successful season.
Yeah, I hear that. I do. That's probably, honestly, I think that for me, it might be even a little too much as far as the team is concerned. Because like we've talked about, like you're talking, I don't really know, what to expect from this team right now. I don't. You know, it's a whole new offense. It's a whole new scheme on defense. It's a whole different set of personnel that they want to run these schemes to where it's like, I'm not sure what to expect from the team. I just almost go like, just want to see Justin Fields continue to be a machine throwing the football and just go in the right direction. To me, is a successful season. I'm not going to put on wins and losses on his back right now with the current state of the roster, at least and the new coaches and everything there. There's too many unproven commodities. Just want to see growth and continue to see the guy dice people up in the pocket like we saw in that Pittsburgh, Thursday night game, which was probably his best game of the year, where we went, man, look at Justin Fields making plays all over the field. That was his banner night of his rookie year.
Monday night. That was Sunday
night. How
Cassius
could I
Marsh.
forget? Damn. How could I forget?
Monday night roundhouse kick.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, roundhouse kick and in the tackle, bull crap flag thrown, take a touchdown away from a team, even though it wasn't in the tackle box, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That was somebody reached out to me and said the NFL is very happy about the Cassius Marsh controversy because it has kept attention away from the ridiculously bad call that was made to take a touchdown off
away.
the board
Yeah.
for the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.